political issues. So once again, welcome. This is being organized by UNDP and the EU delegation to Turkey, and we have the Climate Week, thanks to their support. And within the context of this week, we want to organize this event on circular economy. So for those who haven't participated before, our platform has been established in 2019 by TÜSİAD, CONFET, Business for Goals platform. And our aim is to integrate all the public institutions, local administrations, NGOs, public and private parties, and we want to establish bridges. And we want to also empower the role of business world in sustainable development. We have three main headings: resilience towards the disasters, preparing enterprises for the future, and inclusive growth. These are main topics of ours. And DCube is also one of the founders of our platform. And we are working to raise awareness on circular economy. And we want to also create best practices and disseminate best practices. And for this purpose, we are the first social initiative cooperative. The name of ours is Circular Economy Innovation Cooperative, and we are working for this aim. And we have been organizing a set of events to raise awareness, and we have created a guidelines on circular economy, and the launch event will be organized soon. And also during the first quarter of 2021, again, all together, we will have inclusive event, and Circular Economy Week will be organized, and the details of this event will be shared with you soon. I don't want to prolong my words because we have two valuable guests. One of them is Miss Anette Galskjøt, welcome, Danish Consul General in Istanbul. And from Boyner Group, we have Mr. Dr. Emrah Özbay, Director of Internal Audit, Risk Management and Sustainability from Boyner Group. Welcome to our event. Actually, I want to directly turn to our Consul General. My first question is about the EU and the perspective of EU on sustainable development. For the last 10 years, especially regarding sustainable development, circular economy has been put on the agenda of the EU. And in 2015, an action plan on circular economy was prepared. And also this year, as a continuation of the previous report, EU Green Deal was created. And one of the main pillars of this Green Deal was a new circular economy action plan. Considering all of these developments in the upcoming period, how would you evaluate the activities of the EU regarding circular economy? What kind of issues will be put on the agenda and be important for the EU?
Thank you so much, and thank you for the invitation to participate here today. Of course, from the consulate and the Danish government, we're very eager to contribute to Climate Week, as the Green Deal, climate change, and the mitigation factors we all need to do. It's very high on the agenda, both in Denmark, with the government in Denmark, and with the foreign service around in the world. In respect of the Green Deal, of course, we know that climate change and environmental degradation is a very existential threat to Europe and to the world. And to overcome this, I think circular economy initiatives is just part of what we all have to consider in our mitigation efforts. Europe has created this new growth strategy that is aiming to transform the Union into a modern, resource efficient and competitive economy. And as you all know, of course, there is an aim for no net emissions of greenhouse gases from 2050, and a world where economic growth is decoupled from resource use. And I think, you know, the whole concept of circular economy is the essence of decoupling the economic growth from the use of resources. We need to aim for a world where we can see these two not run simultaneously, but actually being decoupled. It's very important, I think, to notice that the ambition of the Green Deal cannot be achieved by EU on its own, which is why this interaction today is so important, because it's between Turkey and Denmark. And Turkey is a very valuable partner to Denmark and to the EU. And I think it's so important that we continue to discuss how we can reap the benefits of what we're doing in the EU and what you are doing here in Turkey. And together we can be much stronger. I want to add also that the Green Deal is an integral part of the Commission's strategy to reach the United Nations 2030 agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. And of course, Turkey has also signed up for the Sustainable Development Goals along with the EU countries and Denmark. And the European Green Deal has around 50 specific initiatives that will be presented within the next 16 months. And so a few of them are investing in environmentally friendly technologies, supporting industry to innovate, which I think is also essential to achieve a more circular economy, because we need to be able to do things in a new way. We cannot just use the old industrial regime invented more than a century ago. We have to start being much more innovative. We have to look at energy efficiency in buildings. We have to work with international partners to achieve these global environmental standards and goals. And it's also been proposed to introduce a CO2 tariff on unsustainable non-EU products, which is of course a pretty dramatic step to take. But I think we need to also look at, what we consume and how we consume within the European Union to achieve the goal of a more circular and a more environmental friendly economy. I just want to finish with the EU rescue package, which was adopted in spring this year, which was 500 billion euros, where the European countries have agreed to support the EU countries that have been very hit by the coronavirus epidemic these last 10 months, or almost 10 months. And now the member states have to find out how they will apply this funding. And I think circular economy and the whole green initiative and sustainable initiatives, those are going to be in front in all the applications that the EU will see coming from the member states. Thank you so much.
Evet, Sayın Başkonsolos gerçekten çok önemli noktaları.
Miss Consul General touched upon quite important points. Right now, I'd like to also turn to Mr. Emrah. You're also active as a group, both in the domestic and international market. So in Turkey, circular economy-oriented activities level, what do you think about that, especially the enterprises? How do they look at the EU Green Deal? How do they look at the sustainable economy and growth? What do you think about that? Thank you very much for your invitation. Thank you very much for providing me with this opportunity. In Turkey, certain enterprises are quite interested in this topic, but it's not a serious and integral part of the economy in Turkey yet. But this EU Green Deal, with these new Green Deal since December 2019, the works have been intensified and the draft and the future projections were also announced. And now Turkey needs to be serious about it, because it's not optional for Turkey anymore. The future is coming on, and there are two important points that we need to think about. With the Green Deal, we shouldn't only think about the environmental movements. It's a requirement for the business world. Business world itself is ever changing. It's not about combating with the
kaçınılmaz olarak
carbon
geliyor.
emissions,
Türkiye
etc. The
açısından
business
önemli olan
world
şey
itself is changing
karbon
and it
sınır
needs to be adapted.
düzenlemesi
For
konusu.
Turkey,
Yani
carbon
Türkiye
limitation
ihracatının
arrangement is
neredeyse
quite
yarısını Avrupa
important.
ülkelerine yapıyor.
Half of the
Ve bu
export of
karbon
Turkey
sınır
is to the
düzenlemesi
EU countries,
muhtemelen
and with the
şöyle
new
olacak.
carbon
Artık
arrangement, probably
Avrupa'ya ürün sattığımız zaman, şirketler ürün
once we
sattıkları
sell
zaman
something to the EU,
bu temiz üretim sertifikaları olması
clean
gerekecek
production,
veya
clean
bunun bir
manufacturing
bedeli olacak.
certificates would be
Dolayısıyla bu
required,
bedel
or there would be
artık
certain
bizim o
consequences and
görece hep
costs.
savunduğumuz işte
And
genç iş gücü
we
rekabet
always defend
avantajımızı
the
boşa
young
çıkaran bir
labor
duruma gidiyoruz.
force
Çünkü artık
and
bir
competitiveness. We
ileride
have the power in this
hiç
sense as
almama
Turkey,
durumu da
but
olabilir.
it
Yani
would
Avrupa Birliği
be
şuna da
for
gidebilir.
nothing if we do
Bu
not comply with the
sertifikaları
requirements,
olmayan, yeşil
because the
düzene
EU may
uymayan
wait
işletmelerden
and
ürün
expect
almayı
these
yasaklamaya kadar
certificates,
gidebilir.
and they
Yani
may
önce
even
vergileme
ban
gibi bir şey
purchasing
getirebilir.
from those
Sonra da
companies
yasaklayabilir.
without the
Dolayısıyla siz
license, without the
artık
certificates.
bunu
This
dikkate
is also an
almazsanız
option. So
ürettiğiniz ürünü
if you do
Avrupa
not
pazarına
consider of
satamama
this, you
riskiyle
may
karşı
not
karşıyasınız.
even be able to
Türkiye
sell your products
belli
to the EU market.
nasıl işletmeleri bunun farkında.
Some
Yakın
enterprises,
dönemde
some companies in Turkey are aware of this
öncülüğünde bir
fact.
çalışmada
Under the
yayınlandı.
leadership of
Erdinç hocalar
TÜSİAD, a
yayınladı.
study
Sadece
was
orada bir rakamı vererek bitirmek
published.
istiyorum.
I'll just
Eğer biz
provide a
bunu
figure
bu
from
karbon
there.
salınımı ve yeşil
If
düzeni
we work on
dikkate
this carbon
almazsak
emission
2030
and
yılında
Green Deal, if we do not
muhtemelen
consider those
gelecek
in 2030,
vergiler ya da işte kostlarla,
probably
maliyetlerle
upcoming
birlikte bize
taxes
gayri
and
safi yurt
costs,
içine hasıla etkisi
when we
150
consider
milyarla
the
200 milyar TL arasında
GDP,
olacak. Yani
it will
bizim
be
gayri safi
around
milli hasılayı düşünürseniz bu rakamın ne kadar önemli bir rakam
150
olduğunu,
or
dolayısıyla bizim
200
artık
billion Turkish
ucuz
liras, the
maliyetle
additional cost
Avrupa'da
for
rekabet
us.
edebilme şansımızın
So we
kalmayacağı
will not
anlamına
have the
geliyor.
chance to
Dolayısıyla bizim
compete in the
şirketler şu ana
international
kadar
arena with the
düşünmediyse
additional
bile
costs
artık
if
bunu
we do not
düşünmek
comply with
zorundalar.
the standards. So the companies of ours should consider all of these right now. As a response to the first question, even you provided quite valuable information. It's not only about the environment right now, you say. It's also about increasing competitiveness of the Turkish companies in the international arena. And this is a very important topic that you have underlined. Thank you very much. So I need to now go back to Consul General. So what about Denmark? And Turkey, we have just started this story. So for sustainable development, circular economy has been started to be thought about recently, and enterprises are realizing the importance of it just now. So what's the experience of Denmark? What's the story of Denmark? What have you done up until now? And what has been the impact on the climate change in the middle term or the long term? What are your objectives?
Thank you very much. Quite an interesting study was made recently saying that introducing circular economy in Denmark could increase our GDP with up to 1.4%. It's about 45 billion Danish kroner. It could reduce consumption of selected resources up to 50%, reduce Danish carbon footprint up to 7%, and create up to 13,000 new jobs by 2035. And of course, this is a very interesting agenda and totally in line with the new Danish government that took up its seat in Parliament last year in June. From the beginning, they have been very set on the Green Deal. They've been very ambitious. Actually, they launched a new green strategy saying that Denmark would reach 30% reduction in CO2, 50% reduction in CO2 by 2030. And this is the most important goal set by a member state or a country at that time. And taking our small population and small country into consideration, of course, for us, it's probably easier to introduce these very ambitious goals. But the whole government is working for this. The foreign policy strategy is all green and sustainable. And actually, we try to walk the talk also in the Foreign Service. Last year, we introduced our own little green strategy here in my office, where we banned the use of plastic bottles. We have promised ourselves to turn off the lights and the air condition. We are also, trying to decrease printing. And all of these are small things, but working for this greater cause of contributing to a CO2 neutral agenda. And one thing which is super interesting and also very much in line with the previous speaker, is that we have launched 13 climate partnerships where the Danish government have invited a large number of Danish companies in these 13 climate partnerships divided into businesses to contribute to the strategy of reaching these very ambitious climate goals. And this is all from industrial to service businesses, to the producers of green technology. And it's proven to be a very valuable contribution to the government strategy, actually including businesses and taking their perspectives very serious and not just introducing new politics that were not really aligned with the needs and the accomplishments of the business world in Denmark.
Here, actually, there are important messages to be withdrawn from the Denmark experience, because as you mentioned, public policies and strategies are critical to put forward the will to create a framework. But beyond that, this needs to be realistic and feasible. And enterprises should be willing to go through this transition, this transformation, and they need to go through the feasible processes. This is my understanding. So we are keeping this as an important note. So I am going back to Mr. Emrah. I am asking for Turkey. I had a question for Turkey, but now my question is Boyner Group specific. Do you have any circular economy oriented work for the sustainable development as Boyner Group? Can you share any examples with you? Of course. And it was a coincidence actually. By the way, I'll share my slides with you. Yes, we can see your presentation. It's full screen right now. Actually, it will be a surprise for Miss Anette because it's an example with Altın Yıldız company. We are producing fabric and half of it, almost half of it, is sold to the European countries. And it was actually started on the request by a Danish company. So we started using recycled materials for fabric manufacturing in 2016. We have started. So you can share my presentation with the relevant parties. I'll just first show the pictures. So from the plastics, from the waste plastics, PET bottles, plastic bottles, we are recycling them and we are manufacturing polyester and fabrics. And we are not using petroleum or coal. We are recycling the waste to produce this fabric, and we are using polyester. And as we said, we started this in 2017 upon the request of a Denmark, and then we continued with H&M, which is a Swedish company. So these products were transformed into these fabrics. On the screen. The will is important, but the will is not enough on its own. Your economy should be also suitable for this. You cannot just say that let's transform and recycle the bottles. Your supply chains should be structured in a appropriate manner. Turkey's options are quite limited. We received this from an American company. So regarding the supply chain, Turkish companies should work harder. They need to think all of these, and they need to invest in the relevant sectors so that using more recycling materials, manufacturing can be possible. Another example can be that with Lee Cooper company, we have created a collection together. And in this collection, we used recycling material, recycled recycled material. We produce jeans, and they are currently being sold at Boyner Group.
Ne kadarlık bir çevresel etkimiz olduğu bilgisi.
What is our environmental
Şu ana
impact?
kadar biz yaklaşık 73.000 metrekare kumaş üretiminde bu recycle, geri dönüşüm materyaller kullandık. Ve bu kapsamda
Materials have been used for the recycled fabric, and 1,200,000 plastic bottles were not thrown away to the environment, but returned back to the recycling process. And we had a positive impact on not to pollute the environment anymore. This is a quite low ratio, of course, considering everything. We need to increase this ratio, but to be able to do that, we need to increase our partnerships and shape the requests of our consumers, and necessary investments should be there in the supply chain, and the production facilities, plants should be established for the recycling. So we are working and cooperating both with domestic and international brands and companies.
Şimdi buradan tabii özellikle
Thank you very much. As you also put forward, the will itself, the intention itself is not enough. And understanding the importance of circular economy is not enough on its own. You need to think holistically. You need to think about the supply chain. It needs to be there and prepared. It needs to be very well shaped and improved. It's not only about the public policies. It's not only about the preparedness or the will of the enterprises and companies. This is another important topic, is also the circular economy interaction itself. Adopting and taking multi-stakeholder steps is also quite critical. This is my understanding from your words. This is a quite important step. You need to start somewhere, and I am sure that depending on the requests of your consumers, this will be on your agenda for the future as well. And now I'll go back to Danish Consul General in Istanbul. My last question for you, then we will move to the Q&A part. So, you spent some time in Turkey and you have certain observations in Turkey. As we mentioned before, Turkey has recently started working on circular economy. Sustainability has been on the agenda for a very long time, but as mentioned by Mr. Emrah, depending on the requests of the consumers, the circular economy has just recently been put on the agenda. There are many Danish companies that are actively working in Turkey. Considering all of these, what is your perception? What's the general situation in Turkey? What is the overall situation according to your opinion?
Thank you so much. First, I'd like to compliment Dr. Özbay for his fantastic example of being inspired by Denmark. Of course, we are very happy about that. Also, I just have to correct myself because, of course, it's a 70% reduction that Denmark wants to achieve by 2030, which was the goal. And in respect of your question, in the 2.5 years I've been in Turkey, I've seen a lot of willingness to transform into a more circular economic way of doing things here with the both Turkish and Danish companies that we work with. And lately in January this year, I was participating in the launch of this new smart city strategy that the government launched, which is putting quite strict demands on the municipalities of achieving CO neutral goals and reductions in CO2. And I was really happy to be at that event because I think there's a strong willingness both from central and local government to work towards a more sustainable and climate-friendly Turkey. And introducing circular economic initiatives is part of this agenda. As Denmark, we have the last 5 years worked in a very close government-to-government cooperation with the Ministry of Energy and the Ministry of Environment in Ankara and the Danish Energy Agency in Copenhagen. And one of the initiatives was looking at recycling in Istanbul. And basically that was a very interesting initiative, and the city of Istanbul is very interested in implementing new technologies that will make it more sustainable and more circular. And there's a new huge waste incineration factory being built in Istanbul. And one of the things that we're also working with is how we can turn the waste heat from this waste incineration into heating of cities in a district heating scheme, which we're also working with the ministry in Ankara on. And so there we see a lot of interest and goodwill from the ministry in Ankara to work with us and to learn from the way Denmark has introduced circular economic initiatives. And I think district heating is one of the best examples where we take surplus energy from factories, and that can be coal-fired plants or that can be big industrial plants, and we put this heat into piping underneath the cities and hereby heat the cities with the surplus heat from the production industry. Like this, Copenhagen is now 99% heated by district energy, and Denmark is heated more than 60% like this. And this is a very good example of how you reuse and recreate, and in that way the circularity of the economy becomes more apparent, and it becomes very clear how you can introduce these measures and for a more sustainable world. And the last thing I want to mention is that my favorite sustainable development goal is number 17 on partnerships. And that was also what I heard Dr. Özbay saying, that if we want to achieve what we need to achieve when there's no planet B, we need to work together in public-private partnerships between NGOs, between institutions, between companies and governments and local government, because only like that we will actually achieve the results that are so necessary for the world today. Thank you.
Çok teşekkürler. Gerçekten
thank you very much. You concluded your words with a wonderful message. You emphasize the importance of partnership and working together. I think this is the main pillar of all the works. And you mentioned some wonderful examples. Hopefully, such partnerships can be enhanced between Denmark and Turkey, both between public sector and private sector. Maybe technology transfers and mutual works can be accelerated and get even stronger in the future. Mr. Emrah, at this point, Ms. Consul General mentioned some examples and emphasized the importance of partnership. Do you have anything to add on top of that? As Boyner Group, what do you foresee for the future and your future plans? What are those? We need to underline once again, it's not something that can be achieved all alone. A single company, a single municipality, a single government cannot achieve it on their own. The Turkish stakeholders are a ring in the chain, and we need to create the whole chain together. This needs to be a way of life now. As Boyner Group, I would like to talk about one more thing. For the last month, the awareness has been raised under the leadership of DCube. Business World Plastic Initiative was launched last year. As the Boyner Group, we are also an ambassador for this work. This is what we do there. For the first year, all the companies, all the partner companies create their own plastics inventory. And as Boyner Group, we divided our inventory into two. One for the main activities, so the plastics used in the product, and the second group is about the plastics used for sustaining our activities. For example, the cloth holders, the packaging, or in the offices, teacups, everything used in the offices. So we are creating this inventory as Boyner Group, and in the first half of 2021, we will make a commitment. We will say that this is our current inventory, but for the 2 upcoming years, considering this inventory, we will decrease the plastics use by 10% or 20%.
Yani
so this will be our future policy as Boyner Group. We will have less plastics and we will use more recycled materials for production. This will be among our commitments. Currently, we are working on our inventories, and of course, doing it is way harder than talking about it, creating it, making it measurable, following up on it, monitoring and reporting are all challenging, but we have achieved a good progress, I would say. Actually, all this work, regardless of the fact that we are aware of it or not, these are all transforming into something new. It's not only about creating awareness, it's becoming a way of life, a way of working. It's not the responsibility of a single department, single company. All the departments are adopting it, and this is how they are organizing their work. This is how we are transforming as Boyner Group. Thank you very much. So also in your inner culture with all the departments, this is the perspective you want to adopt. Because as you said before, from the procurement to production, from logistics to many other different phases, all the perspectives should be changed. Miss Consul General mentioned in the beginning of her speech, we need to do everything with a new perspective. We cannot use the old technologies. But while doing that, we need to be realistic. Intending something is important, but on the other hand, there are quite detailed inventory work and measurement works. So maybe here we shouldn't be intimidated, but we need to go step by step to reach a tangible result at the end. So we need to be motivated by our ultimate result. So this is what I think, this is my understanding from your words. My questions are completed or done, but our viewers have questions. Also, there are those participants who have asked their questions previously while waiting. So I want to touch upon those quite briefly. There is a question to Consul General from a social initiative regarding electronic waste and their recycling for the educational material for children. This is how they work. For the social initiatives working like us, by Denmark or Danish consulate, is there any possible partnership or project idea for the future for the initiatives like ours?
Well, I think I probably have to know more about that specific initiative to come up with a concrete answer, but I really encourage the organization that has posed the question to contact us. Our emails are on the website of the consulate, and we'll be more than happy to look into what sustainable partnerships in Denmark could be, or any organizations, Danish organizations that are working with the same purpose and make the connection. We are very happy to contribute in that way.
Thank you very much. Mr. Emrah, we have a question for you. So about sustainable development goals, what are your objectives as the directors for sustainability in general?
Boyner Grup üzerinden vereyim. Biz yılda bir sefer sürdürülebilirlik raporu yayınlıyoruz. Bu 17 tane sürdürülebilir amaçlarını tek tek şirketlerimizde neler yaptığımıza dair açıklamalarda bulunuyoruz. Bu zaten bizim her zaman için doğal gelişim alanlarımız oluyor. Yani departman olarak sorumluluğumuz olan ve her yıl bir önceki yıla göre iyileştirme yapmak için çalıştığımız bir konular oluyor. Dolayısıyla öyle bir yönetimin en azından Boyner Grup'ta bir tanesini seçip hadi bunu bu yıl buraya getirelim değil de tamamını getirelim. Ama şöyle bir durum oluyor tabii ki. Mesela ben Global Compact'ın yönetim kurulu üyesiyim. Şimdi orada da mesela bu 17 tane kalkınma amacının, sürdürülebilir kalkınma amacının tamamını aynı anda çalışmıyoruz. Orada mesela o işte 2020 için konular seçiliyor, çalışma grupları oluşturuluyor ve ona göre çalışılıyor. Benim de içinde yer aldıklarım var. Dolayısıyla o yıl o konulara daha fazla çalışmış oluyoruz. İşte yakın zamanda mesela çeşitlilik ve kapsayıcılık rehberi yayınlayacağız oradaki çalışmada.
Planning to publish a
Toplumsal
comprehensive
cinsiyet
report
eşitliği
regarding gender
konularımızdan
equality,
biri,
for example.
konulardan biri.
This is one of
Son bir
our
yıldır bu plastik
areas of
envanteri çalıştığımız,
priority.
yani çevre
Plastic
çalıştığımız konulardan biri.
inventory is
Mesela
also an
zaten
area
bu
that we are
şöyle bir durum
working
da var.
on. So
Bu sürdürülebilir kalkınma amaçları böyle çok metrik
sustainable
hale getirip
development
hani
goals
diğer
shouldn't be
departmanların yönetildiği
considered
gibi
as
işte hedef koyup
metric
yıl sonunda bu hedefine kadar başarılı
improvement
gibi konular
areas.
çok değil.
It's not about
Metrik
putting
olanlar da var,
objectives to be
olmayanlar da var.
reached by
Ama
the end
günün
of the
sonunda
year.
dediğim gibi
There
rapor
are
yazdığımız
those that
için
can
ve
be
bunu kamuoya
measured like
açıklandığımız
this,
için
and there
zaten
are
o
those
bizim
that
her yıl
cannot
daha
be.
iyisini yapma
But
hedefimiz
we
oluyor.
have
Ve
regular
şirket
reporting,
yönetimi bu
and we
şekilde
are
iletişimde
achieving for
bulunuyoruz.
better. We are aiming for better and achieving those every year. So please consider this as a continuation of my question. What would be the impact of the EU Green Deal on Turkish export? You have touched upon that, but is there anything further
orada biraz
that
da
you want
Avrupa'nın
to
tavrıyla ilgili
mention?
bir konu.
Actually, this is
Yani
also about the
şimdi şöyle
attitude
masada bir
of
konu var
the Europe,
ve şu an
because this
tahminde
topic
bulunuyoruz
is
nereye
here on the
gideceğine
table,
dair.
and we are just making
Eğer
assumptions regarding its
Avrupa
direction for the
Birliği
future.
bunu şu ana kadar verdiği mesajları da dikkate alarak gerçekten
Considering the
sonuna
message
kadar
of the Europe,
götürürse
if
Türk
they
işletmelerinin
take
artık
it
bugüne
all
kadar
the way,
geldiği gibi devam edemeyeceğini çok net söyleyebilirim. Yani
we can
şu
say
olmuş,
that
bu
the
Alman
Turkish
şirketleri için de
companies
geçerli.
will
Diyelim ki
not
bir
be
Alman
continuing
şirketi
in the same way.
çelik
It's
üretimi
also valid
Almanya'da
for
daha pahalı
German
olduğu için
companies.
onun bir
Since
aşamasını
steel
Türkiye'ye getireyim.
manufacturing is more
Türkiye'deki işletme
expensive in
yapsın. Onun çevre
Turkey,
sorunu beni
in
ilgilendirmiyor. Zaten
Germany,
Almanya'da bunu cezalandırmıyor.
for them to be able to work
Girişimle
with
bu
Turkey,
yeşil
they need
mutabakat
to also
son
see
veriyor
that
gibi bir
Turkey
anlam çıkıyor.
is
Yani benim
compliant with
gördüğüm
the
o. Yani
standards. So
Almanya
the
şunu
Green
söylüyor.
Deal
Sen
will
Türkiye'ye
end
götürüp
this all.
üretsen bile
It says that
Almanya'da
even though
üretmişsin
you
gibi
cooperate
davranacağım
with
sana ve
Turkey, even
buradaki
though you do your
Almanya'daki firmanın bütün
manufacturing in
şeyleri sende
Turkey,
olacak, sorumlu
I'll
sende olacak.
behave
Dolayısıyla
and
o Alman
consider
firmasının
as if you do
Türkiye'de
your
üretmesi için artık
manufacturing in your own
onun için bir
country.
avantaj
So
sağlamayacak.
this will
Yani
not be an advantage
Avrupa'daki
for
kirletemezsin,
Germany to do
Türkiye'deki
the manufacturing
kirletebilirsin'e
in
de son
Turkey
verecek. Eğer
anymore
Avrupa
if
Birliği bu
Turkey
yönde
is not
giderse.
compliant.
Şimdi
If
dolayısıyla ne
and
oluyor?
also EU takes it
Şimdi
all the
artık bizim
way to the
kaçarımız
end
yok
with
yani
the
ve
EU Green Deal.
ihracatımızın
So there is no
yarısını
other
Avrupa
option.
firmalar
There is no
Avrupa'ya
other way
yaptığımızı
to do it
düşünürsek
as Turkey.
dolayısıyla biz artık
Considering
Avrupa
half
firması
of
gibi
our
davranmak
export is for the
zorundayız.
EU
Yani
countries, we
Danimarka
need to
firması
act
nasıl çalışıyorsa ona
just
olan
like an
yaptırımlar
European
nasılsa
company, just
Türkiye'deki
like a
firma da
Danish
olacak. Çünkü
company.
aksi
We need to
durumda
think about
ya
the
yüksek bir
sanctions, the
vergi olacak ya da
consequences,
tamamen
because
red diyecek.
otherwise
O ürün
either we
girmeyecek,
will be
sınırlardan
completely
geçmeyecek.
rejected, they will not be
Dolayısıyla
purchasing
bu
and taking our
Avrupa'nın
products into
tavrıyla da
their
ilgili
own
olmakla birlikte
borders,
olayın oraya gittiğini
or
düşünüyorum.
will be
Eğer Avrupa
paying
onu
huge
biraz daha
taxes.
gevşetirse yine başka
So, but
kaygılar
if
ön plana
Europe
çıkarsa
makes
tabii
it
ki
more
onların da yine açık
flexible
yönleri
because
bulunur.
of
Tabii
different
şu ana kadar nasıl
concerns,
bulunduğu
we
gibi.
can
Ama
or they
sanki
can
biraz
find some gaps
olmayacak gibi.
within.
Benim
But
kişisel
I
görüşüm
believe it will be
bu
strict.
sefer
This is
oyun
my
değişiyor.
personal
Yani
opinion. This time the game will
biçimi değil yani oyunun
change.
kendisi değişiyor.
Not the
Ve artık
way of
buradan geri
playing,
dönüş
but the
olmayacak
game
gibi geliyor
itself
Avrupa
will
açısından.
change, and there is no
Dolayısıyla bizim
turn
artık
back
bunu
for Europe.
yapmamız. Yani şöyle
And
düşünün.
therefore, as
Misal
Turkey, we need to do
2010'larda
something.
termik santraller için milyar dolar yatırımlar yaptık.
So there are
Bu
millions
anlaşmaya
dollars of
baktığımda
investments for
termik
the
santralden elde edilen
thermal
enerjiyle sizin
power
üretim
plants.
sürecini yapmanız bile artık oyun dışı
And
kalmanıza
now,
neden olabilir.
your manufacturing,
Dolayısıyla
your
o
production there
yatırımlar
can
ne
even leave
olacak?
you out of
Yani
the game. So what's
şirketin
gonna
bunu
happen
düşünmesi lazım.
to
Yani şu an
those
olmasa bile 5
investments?
yıl
The
sonra
companies should
sizin o
consider
termik
those.
santralden
Maybe
aldığınız
not now,
enerjiyle
but in
ürettiğiniz
5
ürünü
years' time,
reddedebilir.
the products that you
Bunu düşünmeniz gerekiyor.
manufacture through those plants can be rejected in Europe for procurement. This is a very valid point, a very critical point. Actually, not in 5 years' time. We need to think about it right now. All these investment plans of the companies should be arranged regularly, considering even the financing, fund providers, public investments, private investments. All of these should consider the future direction of the Green Deal, because they don't want their investments to be wasted in the future. So maybe they need to reanalyze their investments in terms of circular economy. On the financing part,
diyelim ki bir fon,
the commitments are increasing day by day.
İşte termik santrale kredi veren bankaya
the bank providing the loan for the power plant can be cut off from the partnership.
Ya da banka buna kredi verdiği zaman başka yatırımlara tabi olabilir. Dolayısıyla sizin artık bir finansman bulma sorunuz da olabilir. Yani ürünü satmanız, hadi Avrupa satmadın, başka pazara satın. O sebeple finansman sorunu. Yani her alanda bu diyalog gittikçe artıyor ve ya oyun kurallarına göre oynayacağız ya da hani başka bir dünya kendimize bulup o dünyayla ticaret yapacağız.
With the new rules, or we will find a new world for ours to do the commercial activities with. I'll have one last question for two. I'll have 2 seconds. I am closing and turning off my video to be able to see the question. While implementing circular economy, we are also talking about a potential economic growth, a healthy economic growth. So in a circular system, should we really aim for economic growth? That's my question.
To whom?
It's a question for both.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to start. I think we can go back to the 3 legs of sustainability to answer that question, because sustainability is not only about the environment, it's also about economics and social factors. And I think it's so important in all these initiatives that we are talking about and introducing that all 3 factors are taken into consideration, because if it's not feasible, then the companies won't do it, no matter how much beneficial it is to the environment. And if people are becoming miserable from working in these industries or living in these environments, it won't happen either. So I think it's super important to consider all 3 legs of sustainability. And economic growth in itself, it should be a derived factor, which comes as a consequence of the initiatives that we are taking within the circular economy, in my mind.
Ben mümkün olduğunu düşünüyorum. Araba sektörüyle ilgili örnek vereyim. Yani 2030'a kadar muhtemelen hepsi arabalar elektrik enerjisiyle çalışan arabalara dönüşecek. Dolayısıyla yine o fabrikalar yatırım yapacak, yine büyüyecekler ama artık başka bir düzende büyüyecekler. Dolayısıyla arabadan vazgeçilmiyor, benzinden vazgeçilmiyor.
They will not give up on automobiles, they will give up on petroleum, on oil. So everything will continue growing in each aspect, but it will not be consuming us. It will not be consuming our world. So through a circular economy, we will achieve a growing economy. This is how we will continue, I believe. I agree with you.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
Thank you very much. Thank you both. I enjoyed our discussion, and I have also made some notes for myself, some messages for myself. So hopefully we will come back again through some future activities. So this week is the Climate Diplomacy Week, and our viewers and listeners, before saying goodbye to them, I'll mention the motto of this week. We are the climate, we will change. And I wish you healthy days and hope to see you again.
Thank you very much. İyi günler.
Bye.